All right, guys, here's our mini PC box. We'll go ahead and start opening up our KODLIX mini PC. So here is the device sitting right here on top. We'll go ahead and set that aside. Let's see what else is included in here. So it looks like all of our cable connections down here. We've got some warnings. We've got our user manual, which I want to thumb through. All right, so it walks through what's included, all the contents within, shows us everything laid out very nicely right here, where all of our ports are located, which we will obviously comb through momentarily, and then it shows us interfaces and how we can go about connecting everything over, and it does repeat in a bunch of different languages. So let's dive in a little bit further. We've got some set screws right here. We've got our power supply, well, part of our power supply cable. Here's the rest of it right here. So this all together is our power supply cable. Here's an HDMI cable. We have a mounting bracket located down here at the bottom. We also have some additional screws as well. And we have a SATA connection that we can install within. So if you wanted to go ahead and connect over an additional SSD or hard drive, you should be able to do this internally on the KODLIX mini PC. So I'm going to put everything inside here, and we'll grab ourselves the mini PC. So very lightweight, actually. I'm impressed by that because I was expecting this to be much heavier. Obviously, we have this black. All right, so here is our mini PC. Definitely very lightweight, especially for something that is as thick as this is. So very simple design, just says KODLIX. We have a little bit of a glossy black finish, I would say. I initially thought it was matte until the light hit it there. Definitely not matte, but it's not a high gloss by any means. Right here in the front, we have our power button located right here. We have our audio jack connection, 2 USB 3 ports. And then if we turn to either side here, you're going to notice that we have ventilation. Back side here, we have our power supply connection port, 19 volts right there. We have right here a Type-C display port. We have an HDMI port and another display port over here. So between these three are USB Type-C connection right here, our HDMI connection, and our DisplayPort connection. We can get our triple display capabilities up and running on here, so you can take this PC and connect it up to 3 different monitors or TVs at the exact same time. So if you wanted to use a DisplayPort, for example, you would just use a DisplayPort to HDMI cable. So over here we have 2 additional USB ports as well. Now down here at the bottom, you're going to see that we have 2 screw holes. These are going to line up perfectly with the bracket that was included. So if you wanted to go ahead and install this within like an arcade cabinet to, play a wide range of different games, if you were modding an arcade one up, this would make for a great option. You could also, of course, just mount this to the backside of a monitor. You can mount this to the inside of a desk, the outside of a desk. Lots of different ways that you can easily mount this. And because it's so lightweight, it's going to be a breeze to actually set up that way. Now, I want to open this up because we do have that SATA connection that we can install internally, and I want to see how we'd go about accessing it. So I believe that we would just go ahead and remove these little feet down here at the bottom, and you probably have to pry these off. I'm not sure if you can just do it with your hand like I'm trying to do. No, we'll go ahead and grab my little pick. All right, so I got this little pick here that I use for things like this, and then we can just get right underneath here, and that makes it so much easier. So if we take that foot off, you'll notice that we have a screw hole down here, and if you looked in there, it's probably hard to see from this angle, but you actually do have a set screw that keeps the bottom panel on. So we're just going to remove all 4 of the rubber feet, and the nice thing is some adhesive stays behind here, some stays on the back side of this, so you can easily reapply these. A little bit inconvenient to open it up this way, but if you want access to everything internally, it's going to be the approach that you have to take. All right, so that's simple as long as you have a little pry tool or like a pick, something like that. Now what we'll do is we'll drop down in here with our screwdriver. And as long as you have like a magnetic tip on here, you don't have to tip the whole PC upside down to shake that loose. You can just simply remove the screw with the end of your screwdriver. So very simple process here. And now once all 4 screws are removed, you're just going to simply flip this over, and you're going to access the back side here, and you're going to see there's a little tab right here that we have to actually press in, and we should be able to do that right here. And a little bit hard to do, but you can start removing this quite easily. So there we go. Just simply press that in, and you can remove the entire bottom panel. So we have access to everything internally here. It is very convenient to do all of this. And the really cool thing about this now is if we wanted to install a SSD internally, for example, like say we had a Batocera drive with a setup that we wanted to just have installed within instead of doing an external setup, all we do is we go and grab this. We'll remove this from the little baggie right here. And you're going to make this connection right here. So all you literally have to do is just simply line this up and push it in place. That's it. That connection is made. Now what we would do is we would go ahead and install an SSD right here. So this is a SATA connection. Just simply make that connection to your SSD. And on the bottom here, we have a perfect cutout where we can actually fix our SSD. Or if you wanted even a hard drive, you would be able to put a 2.5-inch hard drive in here as well. You can see the screw holes on the sides where you would fasten that in place. And we even have the set screws in the box where we can make that connection just to secure our SSD or hard drive in place here. You have enough leeway to obviously accommodate your cable connection right here. I'm going to remove this because I'm going to go with an external setup today, but I would, if I plan to keep this and use it on a regular basis, an internal setup would be the approach that I take, especially if using something like Batocera, because I believe that that is so much easier to just have installed internally. You don't have to worry about ugly external connections or anything like that. You simply adjust your boot order and you can either boot directly up into Windows 11, or you could go ahead and boot directly into your Batocera SSD or hard drive. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall these screws. We're going to fire this up and launch some games, test out what the performance is like on this mini PC.